as we reflect back on 2024, many of us might define 2024 as the year of burnout, where your employees faced more challenges than they have in prior years, or they've just had an increase in workload, or they're just exhausted because the last 5 years have been so incredibly draining. And 2024, I feel like, was one of those years where between my employees and possibly your employees and possibly yourself, you just feel drained and tired. And now we're going into a whole nother year. So what do we do about 2025? How do we make 2025 a year to thrive? If you're unsure if burnout really applies to you, I encourage you to listen to these next few questions that I have. And if any of them resonate with you, then I just encourage you to continue listening. How many of you noticed an increase in absenteeism, disengagement, or turnover in your teams this past year? Did you or your employees struggle to find motivation or purpose in the face of growing workloads and workplace changes? How often did you feel like you were just trying to survive the week instead of making meaningful progress? Have you ever caught yourself thinking we're just putting out fires rather than building something better? If any of this resonates with you, you're not alone. Many organizations, including mine, experienced these different levels of burnout for 2024. But that does not have to stay that way. We can do something different to make 2025 better. So how do we do this? First and foremost, we got to figure out what everybody's work balances are, or if they really are balanced. If you have a team member that is overwhelmed and fatigued, I strongly encourage you look at their workload. Is it actually equal to the other individuals in your business? Or do you see a disbalance? And honestly, that's going to come back to your management. Are your managers effectively managing your team? And we do offer a lot of different trainings at My HR Pros to help managers become more effective in their leadership abilities. And one of the things that I encourage them to do is have the I'm overwhelmed talk back conversation, where as soon as an employee comes to them, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burned out, I don't know what to do, I encourage those managers at that point to talk them back. Most of the time when people are overwhelmed, they're thinking about everything they have to do in the next 3 to 6 months. They're not just thinking about what they need to do today. As a manager, we have to slowly guide them back to, but what's due today? What do you need to do right now? And let's just do one thing at a time. So it's a talking them back conversation. There's a lot of different strategies you can have to resolve conflicts, to have better communications with your team, to motivate the individual, find out what motivates the individual, and there's certain key questions that a manager can ask an individual to figure out how to get them more engaged. And this is going to help you thrive more in 2025. Another aspect is the flexibility. And I know this is a conversation I've had with you guys before, and I'm going to continue to encourage it because the results only work really is a method that is coming more and more into the workplace, where more and more managers, more and more employees just want you to pay attention to their results and not necessarily that they clocked in at 8 and they clocked out at 5. If people are getting their work done, that's what should matter. In the end, if they're able to get everything done in less time, that's also saving you money, especially if they're an hourly employee. Typically, we see the results only working more for a salary exempt individual because you're not tracking their time anyway. So it doesn't really matter if they clock in at 8 or if they clock out at 5 as long as they're getting their work done in the day. You can do this for your hourly employees too. You still have to meet business needs. You still have to be able to have somebody there to answer the phone when your clients call. but you can be flexible to see, okay, who wants to come in earlier, who wants to leave later? How can we be more accommodating as a team to create a more flexible work-life balance? And that is just a trend that I hate to say is going to continue, guys. So we're just going to have to try to accommodate where we can. And it may not always be effective, but as long as you're having those conversations with the employees and explaining to them the purpose and the reason behind the need for them to be there at 8 or leave at 5, that's at least showing that respect, and it's showing that willingness to communicate between the teams. The other aspect that I'm strongly going to encourage you to do for 2025 is really define your company's purpose, your mission. More and more, when we see inflation, we see the cost of living increase drastically, it's harder and harder for us as employers to keep up with those kinds of financial demands. And not all of us can do that. So why does a person stay with your organization? And I'm going to tell you, normally what I'm finding from my team is that they love being here. They love helping people. They like helping my clients. They like helping their coworkers. They just want to be a part of something that has value and has meaning. That's your purpose. That's your buy-in for retention and for keeping those individuals engaged and motivated to come to work day after day after day. And the more you boost that purpose, the more you encourage that meaning behind why they should come to work, the more engagement you're going to get from that individual. But you got to have that buy-in with them. And that also takes an element of communication. And you have to communicate with that individual to find out what they value in life and what they find as important for why they get up and come to work. And you can't know that answer without asking those questions. So again, just as a look back on how to thrive for 2025, we need to focus on the balance of workloads. We need to make sure that we're not drowning one individual while another one is twiddling their thumbs, because you want to keep the one that's drowning, because odds are they're your high performers. So let's try to balance that out. Second thing is your manager's training. You really got to bring them in and engage them and make them more effective as a manager. And then you have your flex time, if it is at all possible, to give them a little bit more flexibility so that they can breathe, because we all need a reset button from time to time. So let's give it to our employees too. And then lastly, purpose. Let's all have a purpose and a mission for everything we do in life, and you'll thrive through and through.